Have you ever felt the pull of home, that deep, unsettling call back to the place that made you? For investigative journalist Cassandra Lowe, home isn't a comfort, it's a dark, sinking feeling, a humid weight in the air. Cass is returning to the isolated, decaying bayou town she swore she'd left behind for good. Why? Because people are vanishing. Not just one or two, but a steady, silent stream of disappearances that the outside world seems to ignore. It's a local problem, they say, but Cass knows better. She has a reporter's instinct, and it's screaming that there's a story here, one buried deep in the Louisiana mud. The town itself feels like a memory that refuses to fade. It's frozen in time, a postcard from a forgotten century. Ancient cypress trees stand like silent sentinels, draped in ghostly Spanish moss that sways in the thick, wet air. The architecture, once elegant and proud, is now rotting, paint peeling like sunburned skin. The only sounds are the incessant buzz of insects and the gurgle of the swamp, a constant reminder of the murky water that surrounds everything, reflecting the oppressive, gray sky. This place is drowning in secrecy, a stifling quiet that's louder than any scream. Every sideways glance from the locals, every door that closes a little too quickly, it all points to a truth they're desperate to protect. Cass begins to dig, her questions met with a chilling blend of southern hospitality and veiled threats. She starts to see a pattern, a dark thread connecting all the missing people. This isn't random. The disappearances spike around the time of the annual high tide, a local event that's celebrated with an almost religious fervor. And every thread, every whispered rumor, leads back to one name, the town's founder, a notorious 19th century plantation owner whose legacy is etched into every rotting plank and crumbling brick. He was said to have made a deal to ensure the town's prosperity, a deal that brought wealth out of the swampy depths. But what was the price? The more she learns, the more the town's history feels like a living, breathing thing. It's a weight pressing down on the present. The locals aren't just people living in a town. They are descendants, guardians of a terrible secret. They are aggressively protective of their heritage and of the family that still lives in the founder's crumbling estate, a Gothic relic perched on the edge of the swamp. Cass realizes that disappearances aren't just disappearances. They're sacrifices, offerings made to uphold a generational pact with something ancient and sinister, an entity that slumbers in the murky water. This deal, struck centuries ago, keeps the town alive, prosperous even, while the world outside crumbles. In exchange for its continued existence, the swamp demands a tribute. Cass knows she's walking a razor's edge. The town's leaders, the direct descendants of the founder, are watching her every move. They see her not as a returning local, but as a threat to their entire way of life. She's an outsider now, a danger to the delicate, bloody balance they've maintained for generations. Her investigation becomes a race against time. The annual ceremonial high tide is approaching, and with it, the next sacrifice. She can feel it in the air, a building tension that makes the humid atmosphere crackle. She has to get inside the old plantation house, the heart of the darkness, where the town's sins are hidden. Her plan is simple and insane. Infiltrate the family's estate during the ceremony. She has to find proof, something undeniable, that she can expose to the world. But as she navigates the secretive community, the lines begin to blur. The swamp itself seems to be watching her. The camera of her mind pans slowly, unsettlingly, through the Spanish moss and over the dark water. She catches sudden, jarring glimpses of things just beneath the surface-submerged figures, distorted shapes that vanish as soon as she focuses on them. The accents of the townspeople start to sound less like a dialect and more like a strange, rhythmic chant. In the humid darkness, lit only by the moon and the occasional flickering porch light, she sees things in her peripheral vision. Subtle, non-human shapes moving in the background, just at the edge of sight. The night of the ceremony arrives. The tide is high, the swamp water creeping up the steps of the old plantation house. Inside, it's a scene from a nightmare. The descendants are gathered, their faces grim and determined. Cass, using a hidden camera and her journalist's wits, slips past the guards and makes her way down into the flooded, candlelit basement. This is where it happens. This is the altar. The current patriarch, a man whose face is a mask of cold duty, is preparing the final offering. And Cass realizes with a surge of ice-cold dread that she's not just here to observe. She's walked right into their trap. She is the next sacrifice. As the patriarch begins the ritual, the water in the basement begins to churn. A shape begins to emerge. It's the entity, the thing from the swamp. It's a horrifying blend of forms, part human, part alligator, part gnarled cypress root, constantly shifting and reforming. It's the physical manifestation of the town's generational sin. Cornered and with nowhere to run, Cass plays her only card. She pulls out her phone and plays a recording she secretly captured earlier, the patriarch's own voice, confessing the whole horrific truth, a moment of weakness she had managed to exploit. The sound of his voice echoing in the sacred space creates chaos. The descendants are thrown into confusion, their solemn rituals shattered. In that moment of distraction, Cass lunges for a loose brick in the wall she had noticed earlier. Behind it is a hollow space. Inside, she finds it, the original pact. An ancient yellowed scroll, the ink still unnaturally dark. Without a second thought, she grabs it and throws it into a lit brazier. The document ignites. As the parchment turns to ash, the entity lets out a sound that is not of this world. The pact is broken. Freed from its ancient contract, its rage is no longer focused on its offerings. It turns its horrifying gaze on its keepers. The entity violently attacks the patriarch and the other town leaders, its form twisting and lashing out in the confined space. It is reclaiming what it was owed. Cass doesn't wait to watch. She scrambles out of the basement, bursting through the front doors of the crumbling mansion, just as the entire structure begins to groan and splinter. She escapes into the night, leaving the house, the town, and its dark, bloody past to the wrath of the swamp. The secret is out, but the entity is free. The town's prosperity is over, and its dark history is now forever exposed to the light of day, and to the eternal hunger of the thing in the water. What a story. It really makes you think about the secrets that old places keep, and the price of looking the other way. If you love stories that blend history with horror, that slow burn suspense that gets under your skin, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our next dive into the darkness. Thanks for watching.